Hello, all. I have another video today about my somewhat recent attitudinal psyche retyping. I think I was retyped 3 weeks and 1 day ago, following some recent developments in Rob's system. So, for those who don't know, which is probably most people, um, the physics aspect, was changed so as to include feelings and emotions. The emotion aspect was actually had feelings and feeling things removed from the aspect definition in favor of a bit of a different setup. So the way that it's working now is that F and V are the experiencing kind of aspects, where L and E are the evaluating aspects, evaluative, one might say. And so what happens there is that basically if you're if you're thinking about your experiences or possible experiences and stuff, that's more so in the realm of F and V. And actually, decisions were also taken out of V. So there's a fair amount of changes. And E and L are now about giving reasons and evaluating things. This does sound a fair amount like J and P in other systems, more Jungian systems, but they're different. There is a lot of ways that you can interpret this, even though you can find the right word for it, and it can be the exact same word that somebody else has found, and it can be a different thing. We know this, and this is why cognitive typology, there's the body language things, which are very unambiguous, really. We can use even qualitative words that we might disagree on, but at the end of the day, you can't deny a person's muscle usage or trajectory of motion, whatever. So, yes, without further ado, I was previously typed as EFLV, and I felt like that was kind of weird. And I made a video on it, and I felt like, oh yeah, no, I guess it kind of makes sense, because 1E0, but it never really seemed right. And over the next however long, I did actually question it quite a bit. But it never really worked out. But then Rob recently, about a month ago, he said, yeah, all these definitions, I've got it. I was thinking about it wrong, and now we've got new definitions and new types things. And I was like, oh yes, that's exciting. And actually, just previously to that, I was saying, like, these typings are just not making sense to me anymore. The system's not really making sense to me anymore. And I tried to think of a way to make it make sense in my own way, or with Rob's things, and it just wasn't working out. And then I said, okay, I'm gonna put the system down, and maybe I'll pick it back up again if the theory changes. And then, like, a week or two later, the theory changed. So that was funny. Yeah, and so what is my type now? My type is LFVE. And I would like to say, actually, that whenever I found out about attitudinal psyche, this is actually what I typed myself as. Of course, things are a little bit different now, but actually I think the reasons that I typed myself as LFVE in the first place were still correct. So, like, 1L is like, that makes sense. In the new model, everything kind of flows through another really big difference too, by the way, with this model and the last model is that there, for those who know Psyche Yoga or Psychosophy, there is kind of an energy hierarchy. And Rob removed that when he made AP, but he's actually kind of reinstated it, the energy hierarchy, a little bit. It's very loose, but basically, generally speaking, the person's first function is just like their absolute like core. And the way that you see a person presenting is you're most often going to see their first in combination with their second, their first in combination with their third, and then their first in combination with their fourth. So you're always just going to get that first attitude coming through all the time. With me, you're going to be hearing my opinions on how I think things work, or what I think makes sense, or what the best categories are, or giving calculative reasons for things. And obviously I think that checks out. And the first thing, LF, what I'm going to be doing most is like, how precisely true is that? How can we measure how true that is? And, you know, it's called the realist block. So it's like, you know, it's talking about measuring and finding out correcting and just getting to, you know, interpreting things in a way that is like most correct. And this is also, you know, deals with things like levels of analysis and blah, 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 blah. I think so. Even there, you know, I'm like, well, was that correct? So yeah, and basically, first and foremost, whenever any kind of information, I'm confronted with any kind of information, my question is that true? And that's just like reflexive. Is it true? And that's actually something that I get energized by quite a bit. Is, you know, is that true? How true is that? How can we think about this? And I like, to a selfish extent, explaining how I think about things to other people. I implicitly assume that my way is the best, that everyone should be listening to me, because I care more, I think about it harder, and I have a lot of knowledge, and I just think about things the right way. And that's just like everybody does that with their first aspect, basically. It is like this thing that's kind of like, in a sense, it's selfish, but in another sense, it's a gift to the self, they say, but and Afanasiev says, which is the guy who made Psychosophy. But at the same time, it also actually can really be helpful for other people. So it's a self-indulgent thing, but at the same time, it's a self-indulgent and energizing thing, but at the same time, it can also actually be useful to other people. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to make every conversation about only what you want. And yeah. 2F stayed. That's actually one that's taken me a really long time to understand, but I do understand it now. Because look at what I'm wearing. Look at my wardrobe. I got this fish shirt. Oh, I should take my crab shirt out of my backpack, but that one's probably come up before. I got a Hawaii shirt. You know, I got this nice little pattern, and I've got this beautiful robe here. And for some reason, I actually like to show those things and in videos, and I've done that a couple times before. And so I just, you know, with aesthetics, I generally kind of care a bit. And I got my whale plush, and he's fun and cute. I'm also in the Dio Sexta now, and the Sextas, they do need a bit of reworking, but and re-understanding now that everything has kind of changed a little bit. But Tria was the creators, the people who are working hard, playing hard, and create, whereas the Dios are more like, we like to have systems and organize things, and just but the energy is much more lighthearted, fun, and you know, yeah. So that obviously fits more. My 2F is interesting. Because I also watch videos of, like, I've been watching this guy Beard Meats Food lately, and he just does food challenges. And like, yeah, I kind of never thought about that, but I guess a lot of people don't like watching people eat 8 pounds of food in one sitting for fun. And I'm very lax about it, so I thought it would be 4F. I was like, oh, I don't care about that, but I think actually I do, and it showed up in different ways, and now it's gained more priority in some ways. I've learned more. It's not that it's gained more priority, maybe it has, but it's just like I've been able to swim into the depths that is the physics aspect. And also, of course, I'm decently expressive, kind of. I have feelings, and that's fine. So, yeah, 3V instead of 4V. I think that makes sense because that's really where my life problems are at, or where my struggles at. When it comes to knowing how things are going to pan out, or really, I just have a big problem with work, and that does kind of tie into volition a lot of the time, because it's like there's power structures and expectations and performance and all of these intangible things that are like real but also like not there, not tangible, not visible. And these things I kind of struggle with. So I could get really like scared at work, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't understand anything, and then I spin out, and then it's bad. And yeah, though I have a distracting, is that what they call it? No, it's like, it's a method oriented subtype now. So 3V-2, which is impersonal. So I try to take my own personal element out of it. I'm like, how do we objectively best deal with this whole thing that is volition? How would a hypothetical person deal with hypothetical people in a hypothetical world? And then I can just like solve it. My subtypes for logic is 1L1, so that's depth. It's got others negative, and self-positive aspects. And my subtype for physics is 2F1, which is self-focused. Means I'm not so interested in hearing what other people have to say about the physics aspect. More so kind of generating things for my 1L to chew on. And then I have 4E, which checks out, because when it comes to like having a subjective opinion that's just like, I feel that this thing is better than that thing, I prioritize this thing over that thing, just because it's about affinity. So it's like, what just naturally pulls me in with no explanation, and like, what am I going to feel like is better than another thing? So comparisons, ranking lists, that don't rely on measurable, calculable, statistical reasons. It's pretty hard to get down on paper, but whenever you like watch like a 1E, you'll see it. They'll just be dropping their opinions all the time, like, this thing is shit, this thing is great, etc. And like, this thing sucks. And I'm just like, I can't. And I also go around stepping on landmines when I have a hard time accounting for people's emotional sensitivities often, and I can say things that just feel like, the easiest way to say something, the most efficient way to say something, and then, or really just the reality of what a thing is, and people will can get offended or upset, and then I'm like, oh no, I didn't mean to. But yeah, so 4E4, the try hard subtype, I try to deal with the the aspect in a way, but it's obviously it's not my native thing. But overall, I'm really enjoying the new system and my new type, which is LFVE. I definitely enjoy that for myself, because I think it makes sense. And yeah, I guess I just wanted to give an update with a bit of my thoughts and explanations on that. I mean, I think 1L is perfect. Definitely me. I resonated with even Afanasiev's 1L profile. That made me feel seen. And actually, this is a pretty well-fitting typology in terms of what I'm actually doing and what I'm actually spending my time on and how I feel. Other typologies, they hit in different ways, but this one is just like, oh yeah, I see that, I get that, that's me. Yeah, and like I am going to accidentally dominate a conversation and make it about things that other people don't care about like my logic and stuff, about philosophies and things, and that does happen on occasion by accident, but you know, this is just how like the first aspect works, and especially also because I have 2F1, so that can kind of pull the conversation where I want it to and bring up new subjects and stuff, and oopsie a little bit, but I think also it's fine and I get by fine. And another interesting thing is that my 4E is very like, I don't want to process, I don't want to do emotions, I don't want to like affinitive reasoning and preferences and values. I don't really want to do that. And when I see people doing it, I just feel like it's a waste of time and it's stupid. I see people regularly talking about like, oh, I like this TV show character and I don't like that one. And this person is evil and that this person is good and whatever. And I see that and I'm just like, what? Why? What do you know, but for me, I don't really I don't really have like an actual judgment on most people. Like I have something I can think, but it's like I don't actually take it seriously. And I can have an impression, but the impression can change. And ultimately, I feel like it just gets really complicated. Like morals and stuff are super complicated, and or maybe they're not. I don't know. Well, no. Step back. I just don't think it's interesting. I just don't think it's useful or interesting to talk about whether people are good or bad. In fact, I don't even think that makes sense. I think somebody's actions can be good or bad. Somebody's intentions can be good or bad. To label an entire person as good or bad is a bit strange. Maybe this is also a bit V getting into there because that's about personality and personhood, and being self-negative there, it's like I overestimate how difficult it is to deal with and to think about and to process. Yeah. So, LFVE. New type. Previous type EFLV0204. No, 0024. Sorry. New type LFVE 1124. Yes. Great success. Okay, bye.